So, Shabbat Shalom. And you are about to see some pictures, some images of a project that started last Sunday. And before I show you the pictures and before I talk about the project, I want to have an experience in your head. During one of our trips to Israel, I think it was the trip in 2014, where we had a lot of families, including my family. We went on an amazing bike ride around Agaman HaChula in northern Israel. It's an area of wetlands north of the Kinneret, north of the Sea of Galilee, and it used to be a lake, and there was a lot of malaria and other issues, and it got drained because they were hoping that that would become a major grain-producing area for the growing state of Israel. And it turned out there were some different kinds of issues. There were issues with the water drainage. There were issues with the migrating birds. And over time, Israel has worked very hard to start turning it back into wetlands and encourage the birds to migrate there. I share that with you because there's an amazing experience when you go to Agaman HaChula in December, like we did, because it is a place where the cranes are stopping. Now, I say cranes, and you have to realize that when you're in Tel Aviv or even Jerusalem or Haifa, all you see are cranes. And by that, I mean construction cranes. They're building stuff all over the place. You can see hundreds, it feels like hundreds of them in Tel Aviv. The cranes of Agaman HaChula are a different kind of crane. They are the birds, like our sandhill cranes. But you know, here when we see a sandhill crane, you might see one or two or three if you get a whole family of them. At Agaman HaChula, there were 30,000 cranes. Do you know how much noise 30,000 cranes can make? It is impressive. Yirah. It is so awesome and powerful, you quite literally shake with the sound. All of those voices of all of those cranes creates so much energy, it rocks your bus, it shakes you up, and you can just feel the energy, the vibration of all of those cranes on their journey as they go from Africa to Europe and back again. I share that with you. I want that image of all of those voices crying out, because we are about to raise our voices in prayer and raise our voices in story and laughter and joy and praise as we tell the story of Pesach. And that is something powerful and incredible. Each of us is supposed to imagine that we ourselves went out of Egypt. What does it mean for us to be free? And once we are free, how do we make sure everyone is free? This past Sunday, we had a Temple Beth Shalom pre-Passover campus drive-through. We had different stations set up, and if you would like matzah bark, there is matzah bark. We had some wonderful matzah bark bakers and wonderful charoset makers. There is still matzah bark, so if you would like some, you can come on during the week, and we will be happy to share some of that matzah bark with you. Already have a hand raised accepting a gift of matzah bark. But one of the other things that we did is an amazing mural project. And I'm going to share that with you, but I also want to tell you it's not finished. I still see white places. We only saw 30, 40 people that Sunday, and there's a lot more of us. We don't have the voice of 30,000 cranes, but there is a lot of ruach and koach, spirit and strength in our community of Temple Beth Shalom. And it is incumbent upon us in this season as a community to call out for freedom, to think about, meditate on, work on freedom. And so I share with you some of the responses, and I challenge you between now and I'll give you to Shavuot, 50 days until we reach Mount Sinai, to come and add your reflections. We will set up the murals here in our sanctuary. Drop by our campus during our business hours, and we'll give you a chance to add your voice to freedom to these murals that I'm about to share with you. So if we could pull the PowerPoint back up. Switch. There we are. So these are some of the beginnings of these murals. And thank you so much to everyone from Mindy and Cantor Keel who helped create this, to our volunteers who were on campus to make sure people moved around. As I said, our Harosin makers and matzo bark makers, and to all of those who offered some of these answers. These are just a few of the answers that you will find. One of the questions was a challenge. What is in our world keeping you from feeling free? I just took a couple of pictures. One of the answers, meeting people who can't accept that not everyone thinks as they do and keep hammering at you to change your mind. Having to work, and the comment there is, P.S., I love my job. Lack of control. People who are narrow-minded and don't feel comfortable sharing your differences. These are just a few of the responses. There were other questions. How can we help others to be free? Join with others to laugh and play games and dance and enjoy life. Be tolerant. By sending and helping others, listen and react. Listen and help. Listen and understand. Laugh with them, not at them. Make sure they have at least necessities, plus at least one thing special. You can see another note: prayer, keeping in touch, friendship, communication, and laughter. Help others to feel free by engaging them in the dialogue when they, quote unquote, look lost. And finally, how do we celebrate freedom? Gathering together. I do everything I can with what I have. We even got an illustration or two, taking time with friends and family, doing what pleases us, being myself, speaking and singing and writing and thinking. Free will lets me do all of these. So if we can go back to the camera only. That is just a fraction of what is on those murals, and yet there's a lot of white space. There are more of us that can offer our voices, that can bring our ruach and koach, our spirit and our strength, to add to these voices of freedom. What helps, what prevents us from feeling free? How can we help others be free? How do we celebrate freedom? 3 questions. And I invite you to come, to stop by, to swing by this place that so many of us haven't seen and spent time in, and write down some of your prayer, write down some of your blessing. And each week of the counting of the Omer, each week as we pass through these 50 days going from Passover to Shavuot, will chronicle the changes, the additions that are made to these murals. It is my hope that like at Agaman Hukula, 30,000 cranes raising their voices to shake us up and catch our attention, that you will come and be part of this Beth Shalom, this house of wholeness and harmony and peace, bringing your voice of freedom, your images of freedom, your ruach and koach, spirit and energy, so that we can learn from each other, we can learn with each other, we can combine together to create a world that is like our ancestors experienced when they went forth from Egypt, when they got through that sea of reeds, that is full of freedom. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.